You feel the atmosphere shifting again, subtle yet undeniable. It's as if the very air bends to acknowledge your obedience. 2 angels have descended, not in distant realms, but into the orbit of your life. One carries a sword of light. The other holds a scroll written in living fire. They have not come to test you. They have come to confirm you. Every choice you made to walk by faith when sight failed, every unseen prayer, every silent tear has summoned heaven's response. For a long time, you thought no one noticed. You thought your sacrifices went unseen. But heaven was watching. Each time you refused bitterness, each time you chose forgiveness, each time you obeyed even when it cost you everything, those moments became divine signals. And today, those signals have been answered. The arrival of these 2 angels is heaven's way of saying, you have followed the plan precisely. Now the reward begins. The Word of God declares in the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, verse 17, "The Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who saves. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you by his love. He will exult over you with loud singing." That is what is happening right now. Heaven is rejoicing over you. The silence you once felt wasn't absence, it was preparation. The quietness of your season was God composing a victory song in your honor. The angels that stand before you have come not to lecture, but to celebrate. Their wings shimmer with the reflection of the glory you've carried in obedience. They whisper in unison, "The time of hiding is over. The chosen must now shine." And as they speak, the atmosphere shifts again. The room, the space around you, the very air begins to feel alive. You sense a warmth spreading through your chest, an assurance that the divine is near. This is not imagination, it's impartation. You are being clothed in new authority, forged in the fire of endurance. The first angel raises a hand over you. A surge of light encircles your spirit, sealing you from what once drained you. You are being protected from familiar attacks. The second angel unrolls the scroll, your next instruction. It bears your name in heaven's ink. You can almost hear the words forming: move forward, build, speak, lead. Every step of obedience has been leading to this moment. You were never walking in circles, you were walking in training grounds. The struggles you endured were not wasted pain, they were sacred proofs that your faith could be trusted. Now heaven says, you are ready, ready to carry the message, ready to stand where fear once silenced you, ready to see with clarity what others could only sense in glimpses. You've been asking God for a sign, and He sent 2. They stand beside you as a declaration your alignment has reached divine precision. What was blocked will now be released. What was hidden will now be revealed. The delay has expired. Look closer with your spirit's eyes. You will notice one angel placing something into your hands. It may appear invisible, but it carries weight. That's your divine commission. Heaven doesn't just bless with words, it blesses with assignments. You have just been entrusted with one. Do not let fear rob you of this moment. The angel's presence is a reminder that you are surrounded, covered, and guided. Every promise that felt far now stands at your doorstep. The wind of heaven is shifting the pages of your story. God has not forgotten. In fact, the records of heaven show your faithfulness as a glowing thread among the billions. You are a chosen instrument in His plan. And now, the conductor of eternity has lifted His hand. your cue has come. So, listen, chosen one. Let the presence of God quiet your doubts and awaken your courage. The same God who sent these angels will sustain you through the next chapter. This is your divine confirmation. You followed his steps, and heaven responded. If this message stirs your spirit, do not scroll past it. This is your moment of acknowledgement. Like, share, and subscribe, so this divine signal reaches others who need it. Then, comment below the number 777 to declare, "I receive my confirmation." The angels are watching for your response. The angels linger a moment longer, their presence wrapping around you like a living flame. You sense the pulse of heaven moving through your veins, courage awakening where fear once lived. This is not the end of your calling. It's the ignition of divine purpose within you. You are stepping into uncharted ground now, a place prepared by every sacrifice and act of obedience. The air ahead glows with unseen favor. The angels rise higher, yet their light remains, guiding you forward. What begins today will echo through eternity. Heaven whispers, "Continue." The scroll in your spirit unfolds with promise and fire. The path ahead won't always be easy, but it will always be divine. Keep walking. Keep believing. The same God who sent angels will now send victory. The angels remain near, their radiance soft but commanding, as if the atmosphere itself knows to listen. They are not in a hurry. Heaven never rushes what carries eternal significance. One of them turns toward you with eyes that reflect the light of ages, calm, precise, and filled with understanding. The other stands slightly behind, holding what looks like a glowing scroll made of woven light. You realize this is not just a message, it is the record of your obedience. Every prayer, every time you chose righteousness when temptation whispered compromise, every act of quiet faith has been inscribed here. You stand in silence as the scroll begins to unfold in mid-air. The angel gestures, and what appears upon it is more than writing, it is memory. Scenes of your journey replaying before your eyes. You see moments you had forgotten, times when you wanted to give up but pressed on. Days when you were misunderstood yet remained kind. Hours when you prayed for others even while you yourself were broken. Heaven had recorded it all. The angel speaks, his voice neither loud nor soft, but vibrating with divine authority. "These," he says, "are the proofs of your faithfulness." Heaven keeps record not of perfection, but of persistence. Every time you refused darkness, your name grew brighter in the book of remembrance. You feel tears begin to gather, not of sorrow, but of realization. You never knew that your obedience echoed beyond the earth. You never knew that unseen realms documented every small act of trust. You thought faith was something you carried alone, but now you see it was watched, measured, celebrated by heaven itself. As you absorb the vision before you, a gentle light begins to move from the scroll to your chest, sinking into your spirit. It's not heavy, it's alive. The angel says, "This is the record of your obedience." It no longer stays written on heavenly parchment, it is now inscribed in your heart. You carry the testimony of endurance. The Word of God declares in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 16, "Then those who feared the Lord spoke with one another. The Lord paid attention and heard them. And a book of remembrance was written before him for those who feared the Lord and esteemed his name." At that declaration, something within you shifts. You understand that heaven does not forget. Every unnoticed act of integrity was heard. Every uncelebrated decision to walk in truth was documented. And now, heaven brings the evidence before you as divine validation. You are not being judged, you are being affirmed. The angel closes the scroll and smiles slightly. This is why you were chosen, he says, not because you were flawless, but because you were faithful. Obedience, not perfection, opens the gates of destiny. His words sink deep, echoing like a song in your chest. You begin to understand that your life was never random, it was rhythmic, orchestrated by unseen grace. You remember the nights when silence felt unbearable, when prayer seemed to go unanswered. Those moments were not punishment, they were proof that your faith could mature in silence. Heaven was observing, waiting to record your persistence. The tests were not meant to destroy you, they were meant to demonstrate you. The angel gestures again, and the light around you ripples like water. You see yourself walking through past seasons, storms that tried to swallow you, betrayals that nearly crushed your trust, confusion that tested your vision. Yet, through every storm, a faint glow had followed you, divine presence, unseen but constant. You were never walking alone. Now, standing here in the glow of heaven's affirmation, you feel weight leave your shoulders, the guilt of your past choices, the shame of your struggles, even the doubt of your own worth, all dissolve into light. The angel speaks once more. Heaven celebrates endurance. When you continued to walk, even when you could not see, you built something that cannot be taken from you. You bow your head slightly, overwhelmed by gratitude. For the first time, you realize that God has been closer in your silence than in your victories. The angels are not here to start something new, they are here to reveal what has been true all along. Your obedience moved heaven. Light flickers again as the scroll vanishes completely. Its essence now lives within you. You feel marked by divine remembrance. And the peace that follows is unlike anything you have ever known. The angels step back, allowing you to breathe freely. But their eyes never leave you. You can tell they are guarding not just your path, but your purpose. As the scene settles, the sound of heaven feels near, like distant music woven through time. You understand now, the record of your obedience is not only proof, it is power. Every moment of faithfulness becomes fuel for what comes next. Heaven has written your name among those who did not quit, those who stood their ground, those who waited on the Lord. You remember that season, the one that almost broke you, the one where prayers hit the ceiling and fell back as silence. You were walking through shadows with no map, only faith. Those were the nights you wondered, did heaven forget me? But now the angels stand near, and you realize heaven wasn't ignoring you, it was studying you. Every unanswered prayer was an invitation to grow deeper. Every closed door was a test of trust. The first angel steps forward. His voice is steady, weighty with compassion. You called it waiting, he says, but heaven called it shaping. You see glimpses of those days, now the loneliness, the disappointment, the betrayals that cut so deeply. Yet each wound became a doorway. God was carving character into your spirit, teaching you how to hear his whisper even when the world went quiet. The scripture speaks in the book of Job, chapter 23, verse 10, "But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I shall come forth as gold." That is what happened. You came forth. refined, not ruined. Your heart was forged in the fire of silence. What felt like loss was actually the purification of your purpose. Every sleepless night you thought was wasted became a jewel in the crown of endurance. The angels move closer, the air vibrating with warmth. The second one speaks. You learn to stand in stillness. You learn to worship without proof. That was your graduation. You realize then that faith isn't built in noise, it's born in quiet rooms where no one applauds. The test was never about breaking you, it was about proving what heaven already saw in you. You can almost feel the invisible chains of doubt falling away. The pain that once made no sense now feels like prophecy fulfilled. You see it clearly now. The silence was a classroom. The storm was a lesson. And the endurance you carried was the key to your anointing. There is a holy weight in that understanding. The angels' wings glow faintly as they look upon you, as though to say, you did not fail, you were refined. And with that realization, the heaviness that once pressed your spirit dissolves. You're lighter, freer, aware that every test was writing your name into heaven's remembrance. Heaven watches for the ones who refuse to give up. You were one of them. You kept walking when your vision blurred, kept believing when the evidence vanished, kept forgiving when bitterness wanted to bloom. Those moments built something unshakable inside you, something the darkness can never steal. Now the same silence that once scared you has become your strength. You can hear God even in the still air, because you've learned His language, the one spoken without words. The angels stand still, and the light surrounding them hums with approval. You have passed through divine fire, and what remains is pure gold. Take this moment and declare your awareness of what heaven has done within you. Comment the words, "I endured." It's more than a phrase, it's a seal. Those two words tell heaven and hell alike that your faith has survived the testing. When you write them, you are proclaiming, "I didn't quit. I became." Because that's the truth. You didn't just make it through the test. You became the testimony. What once seemed like a silent season will be the loudest proof of God's faithfulness in your life. And the angels, having witnessed your endurance, bow their heads, not because you are perfect, but because you are proven. When you type, "I endured," you're not just repeating words, you're declaring victory. Those two words carry the weight of every tear, every prayer, every quiet moment you chose to trust instead of break. They become your banner in the spirit, marking you as one who stood firm when everything around you tried to collapse. "I endured" means you refused to surrender when the darkness pressed in. It tells heaven you stayed faithful, and it tells hell that its attacks failed. It's not a phrase, it's a testimony. Every time you write it, you echo Job's strength, David's faith, and Jesus' endurance on the cross. You're joining heaven's chorus of the unbroken. In declaring, "I endured," you speak to the future as well. You remind your spirit that the same God who sustained you through the storm will empower you in the sunlight. Those words are not a memory, they are prophecy. They call forth strength for the next chapter, courage for the next assignment, and peace for the next test. So type it boldly, "I endured." Let it rise from your heart like a song of completion. Heaven hears, angels record, and your declaration seals what God already confirmed. You are not the same. You are refined, awakened, unstoppable. Your endurance is proof that grace never left you and that your story is still being written in light. The angels do not speak at first. They stand silently beside you, their faces serene, their light steady. You feel the stillness of heaven settling over you, a calm that carries authority, not absence. One of them lifts his hand, and instantly, something invisible stirs in the air. It's as though an unseen seal has been opened, and a wave of warmth floods through your spirit. You realize then that this is not just another visitation, this is a sealing. The angel is marking you not with something you can see, but with something you can feel. It is not the touch of flesh, but the imprint of eternity. You can sense it settled deep inside you, in the place where your fears once lived. The seal of heaven presses against your soul like light wrapping around bone. Invisible but unbreakable, you close your eyes and feel the change taking root. Your thoughts quiet. Your breath steadies. For the first time, you sense divine ownership over your destiny. You understand that the seal is not about belonging to a religion, it's about belonging to a purpose. God has claimed you as His own. The mark you now carry is invisible to the human eye, but terrifying to darkness. As revealed through the prophet Ezekiel, chapter 9, verse 4. Go throughout the city of Jerusalem and put a mark on the foreheads of those who grieve and lament over all the detestable things that are done in it. You understand now, the mark is not decoration, it is distinction. It separates those who still feel heaven's heartbeat from those who have grown numb to it. You carry compassion where others carry pride. You carry intercession where others carry indifference. That's the mark, the seal that says you are set apart for something sacred. The first angel speaks at last. His voice carries no strain, no hesitation, only certainty. The seal is placed. He says, "From this day, no darkness will claim what heaven has claimed." You feel a pulse of light within your chest, as if those words have activated something ancient in your spirit. The angel continues, "You have been tested, proven, and now you are protected. The blood that saved you has also sealed you." You take a deep breath. It feels as though every fragmented piece of your identity is being gathered and restored. Every name you were called by pain, by people, by your own doubt, those labels fall away. The seal speaks a new name over you, chosen. This seal does not remove struggle, but it changes its meaning. You will still face storms, but they will never drown you. You will still walk through fire, but you will emerge unsinged. The mark you carry is proof that your spirit has been recognized by heaven. The forces of darkness will see it and tremble, not because of you, but because of who stands behind you. You remember seasons when you questioned your worth, when rejection made you feel invisible. Now you understand you were never invisible. You were hidden for protection. The mark was being prepared even then, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. The second angel speaks softly now, his tone like a whisper carried by light. This seal is more than protection, it is empowerment. You will speak, and your words will carry weight. You will pray, and your voice will pierce through barriers. You will walk, and the ground beneath you will remember that heaven sent you. A gentle radiance surrounds your hands. They feel warm, heavy with purpose. The seal is spreading through your thoughts, your voice, your actions. You are not being given new power. You are being reminded of the authority that obedience unlocked. You begin to understand that every chosen one bears a mark, and that mark costs something. The seal of heaven does not appear on those who live for comfort. It rests upon those who live for calling. And you have answered that call. The angels begin to step back, their forms blurring into the light once more. Before they fade, one looks over his shoulder and says, "Guard this seal. It is not a symbol, it is a covenant." And just like that, they are gone, but their words remain, echoing through the chambers of your spirit. You place your hand over your heart and feel the warmth of that unseen mark still pulsing beneath your skin. It is a quiet fire, a constant reminder that you belong to something far greater than yourself. The night outside seems softer now. You can almost sense unseen forces retreating. Acknowledging the authority of the seal, you stand in stillness, neither exalted nor afraid, just aware. Heaven has marked you, not to separate you from people, but to empower you to reach them. You are no longer walking under your own name. You carry the name of the one who sent you. The night is still, yet the air feels charged, as if every particle around you recognizes that something holy has just settled upon your life. The angels are gone, but their presence lingers, woven into the quiet. You feel different, not louder, not brighter, but steadier. It's as if a light now burns inside you that doesn't flicker with emotion, it simply is. The seal has changed you. You walk to the window, and even the sky seems to breathe in rhythm with your heartbeat. The world looks the same, yet you know it isn't. Every tree, every sound, every whisper of wind carries a message now. Creation responds to the ones who are marked. It bends, listens, waits. You think back to everything that brought you here, the years of faith that felt invisible, the obedience that cost you comfort, the long nights when you wondered whether your prayers made a sound. They did. And tonight, heaven has answered in the most beautiful way possible, not with applause, but with purpose. The Word of God declares in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden." That is who you are now, a light on a hill. You were not lit to remain unseen. God didn't bring you this far for your flame to be tucked away. Your light is meant to reach others who still stumble through darkness, wondering if heaven even notices them. You are proof that it does. And as that realization settles into you, a gentle conviction rises, not heavy, not forced, but pure. You feel an invitation in your spirit, a whisper that says, "Now share what you've received." This is not about obligation or duty. It's about overflow. When light fills a room, it doesn't choose who to shine upon it, simply shines. In the same way, the message you've received was never meant to stop with you. Every time you share it, every time you support it, you extend heaven's reach a little further into someone's night. You become part of the story of awakening. So, as you listen now, if this word has touched you, let your response be an act of love. Click the like button as a spark of agreement. Share this message as a way of carrying the torch to another soul who needs it. And subscribe so you remain close to the flow of divine words meant for this generation. Then, if your heart feels stirred to go further, consider giving freely, quietly. As one pours oil into a lamp, every drop keeps the flame alive. Every gift, no matter how small, becomes light that travels farther than you could imagine. When you donate, you're not paying for a message, you're extending a miracle. Imagine your giving as a small candle placed in a cathedral, your flame joining countless others, turning shadows into gold. It's not demanded. It's not measured. It's worship in motion. Gratitude turned into action. If you feel led, follow that whisper and become part of the light itself. And if all you can offer right now is prayer, attention, or a quiet amen, that too is holy. Heaven counts that as seed. You're never giving to a person, you're giving into purpose. You've become part of something eternal, one light igniting another until the world begins to glow again. That's the quiet miracle unfolding here. That's the purpose behind every word, every sound, every whisper heaven releases through this space. The angels once carried a scroll that bore your name. Now, that scroll has become a mission, a gentle call for you to carry the message forward. You don't do it to earn God's favor, you do it because you already have it. As the night deepens, you feel peace settle around you like a warm blanket. You look out into the distance, where stars shimmer like scattered embers, and you realize this is what giving feels like. It's not loss, it's expansion. It's how the light keeps spreading, one heart at a time. So walk in that awareness. Shine, support, share. You are no longer just a listener, you are now a carrier of the same divine flame that heaven entrusted to you. The stars outside seem to blink in rhythm with your heart, each one echoing heaven's quiet approval. You realize that generosity is not measured in gold or silver, but in light, the willingness to let your inner flame join a greater fire that never dies, never dims, only multiplies through surrendered hearts. You close your eyes, and peace feels tangible, almost touchable. The night hums with divine warmth as if heaven itself breathes through you. You whisper a simple prayer of gratitude, knowing this, the light you share, the love you give, will always find its way back, multiplied in grace. The silence around you turns sacred, a soft hymn without words. You feel heaven smiling through the stillness, reminding you that every act of kindness, every spark you release, becomes part of a greater song of light, one that never ends, only grows brighter through you. The atmosphere begins to hum again, soft, steady, familiar. You sense the angels drawing near, not with the urgency of warning, but with the calm of completion. The air feels sacred, like a temple breathing. You know heaven is not done speaking. Every visitation brings revelation, and every revelation carries a sign. You close your eyes. The light returns, golden and fluid, moving like a tide that touches every part of your being. You can feel it working through memories, through wounds, through every place that once doubted. The angels speak again, their voices blending like melody and wind. The alignment is perfect. One says, "The pattern has formed." You understand that this moment isn't random, it's rhythm. Everything that once felt delayed was actually synchronized. Heaven never rushed you, it refined you. What you called waiting was really weaving. Every prayer, every trial, every step of obedience has been forming divine geometry, order from what once seemed chaos. The voice of heaven echoes in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. The words strike something deep in you. All things work together, not some, Not only the pleasant or the easy, even the heartbreak, even the disappointment, even the times you were misunderstood, everything has been part of the pattern. Heaven wastes nothing. What broke you is now building you. The angels step closer, and their light begins to shape into a symbol, circles within circles, interwoven like breath and heartbeat. You realize it's the pattern of divine order, perfect balance, perfect timing. This, the first angel says, is the signature of God upon your story. He writes in symmetry, not in haste. You take that in quietly. It dawns on you that every detour was actually direction. Every silence was an invitation. Every ending, a disguised beginning. Heaven has never been absent. It was simply waiting for you to see the whole picture. The second angel lifts his hand, and you see something written across the air, completion through trust. You know then that trust was never passive, it was participation. Every time you chose to believe when evidence failed, you were aligning with heaven's mathematics. A rush of peace flows through you, like warm wind on a cool morning. The angel's voice continues. The pattern is finished. You stand in divine symmetry. The phrase rings with weight. You can feel it in your spirit. You are no longer outside of God's timing. You are in sync with it. You remember the long nights when you felt forgotten, when prayers felt unanswered. But now you see how even silence served purpose. Heaven was teaching you to hear the rhythm, not just the sound. Timing is not about delay, it's about divine choreography. Every moment had to meet another. Every prayer had to echo across eternity until alignment was complete. Now that it is, heaven asks something simple: acknowledgement, not performance, not perfection, just awareness. You are asked to mark the moment, to recognize that alignment has been sealed. So take this sacred pause and type 333. This number represents divine harmony, heavenly alignment, and the holy partnership between God, His Spirit, and you. It is the sign of completion in unity, a reminder that you do not walk alone. Heaven's order flows in threes: Father, Son, Spirit, body, soul, spirit, faith, hope, love. When you write 333, you're not following ritual, you're affirming relationship. It means you have entered the rhythm of divine companionship, that heaven's plan is no longer something you chase but something you carry. It's your silent amen to God's perfect pattern now revealed. You open your hands and feel the current of grace moving through you again. The angels smile not with pride, but with peace. They know you've caught the revelation. You understand now that God's timing isn't late, it's layered. It builds upon itself until it forms beauty that cannot collapse. The light begins to fade, not as absence but as completion. The pattern remains, etched inside your spirit. You will never see life the same way again. You no longer chase clarity, you walk in alignment. You no longer wait for miracles, you move within them. Heaven's rhythm continues, steady and sure. And you, now in sync with it. Take your next breath, not in confusion, but in confidence. The plan has always been perfect. When you comment 333, you are declaring that you walk in step with heaven's rhythm. Those three numbers whisper unity, God above you, Spirit within you, purpose before you. It's your way of saying, I am aligned. I move with the divine flow. not against it. Each three mirrors divine partnership, one for the Creator's design, one for the Spirit's guidance, one for your obedient heart. Together, they form the triangle of grace that nothing can break. When you type 333, heaven records your agreement, a symbol that your steps and His timing now move as one. The air thickens again, not with fear, but with purpose. The angels have not left, they have only shifted positions. You sense movement above you, as though unseen wings are stirring the atmosphere into alignment. A sound hums faintly in the distance, not earthly, not wind, not music, but something older. It is the sound of things being broken in the spirit. You stand still, sensing that what's about to happen is not visible to the human eye. The first angel steps forward, his sword gleaming like lightning folded in silence. The second carries a vessel of light, pulsing softly, as if containing something alive within it. The first angel speaks. "We have come to deal with the spirit that delayed you." At those words, a pressure you didn't realize you'd been carrying rises within you. You remember the endless cycles, doors opening just to close again, victories that never lasted, opportunities that slipped like water through your hands. It was as if every forward step was met by invisible resistance. You called it bad luck, timing, or chance, but heaven called it warfare. Now, you can feel that resistance trembling. The angel raises his sword, and the air itself seems to split. A gust of unseen wind rushes through, carrying away something heavy. You exhale deeply, realizing that the weight wasn't external, it had wrapped around your spirit for years. You feel it loosening, untangling, releasing. It was recorded by the prophet Daniel, chapter 10, verse 13. "But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, but, lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me." That verse echoes through your soul like thunder in still water. You realize that even Daniel's prayers met delay, not because God ignored them, but because opposition fought to block their delivery. Heaven had to send reinforcement. That's what's happening now, reinforcement. The angels are here to enforce divine timing. The second angel lifts the vessel of light. Inside it swirls something like liquid fire, vibrant and alive. "This," he says, "is the release that was held back." He tilts the vessel slightly, and you feel the warmth of that light pouring through you. It's not just energy, it's divine acceleration. You are being reconnected to heaven's pace. Everything that once took years will now take moments. Everything that was blocked will now flow. The barriers that once stood tall are melting away, not because of your strength, but because heaven's decree has overruled delay. You stand still, trembling as freedom courses through every part of your being. You begin to understand that delay was never denial, it was preparation. Every "not yet" was sharpening your discernment. Every closed door trained you to depend on God's timing rather than human approval. Every disappointment purified your motives. Now that the delay is broken, what's about to unfold will not just be faster, it will be purer. The angel with the sword lowers it, now glowing faintly red with completed warfare. "It is done," he says. The chain of delay has snapped. The sound of that word echoes inside you. Snapped. It feels final, irreversible. You sense the atmosphere shift again. Lighter, freer. Like creation itself sighs in relief. You lift your hands slightly, unsure what to do. But heaven meets you there. The warmth of the released light continues to move through you, touching memories, decisions, and dreams that once felt frozen. Things you thought had expired begin to stir again. Vision returns, passion returns, hope returns. You realize that delay wasn't just about timing, it was about identity. The enemy knew who you were before you did. That's why resistance came early, fierce, and constant. But what he didn't know was that every delay was also a rehearsal for endurance. He slowed your path, but could not stop your purpose. The angels begin to step back, their mission complete. The first looks toward you, his eyes like burning coals of truth. Remember, he says, delay cannot survive obedience. When you move at his word, nothing can hold you. Their wings stretch wide, and with a single movement, they vanish into light. The silence that follows isn't emptiness, it's victory. You feel peace settling in, like the quiet after a storm. You look around and realize that nothing external has changed, and yet everything inside you has. The invisible ropes that kept you from rising have been cut. The walls that made you question your worth have been leveled. The ceiling that limited your reach has been shattered. It's strange how freedom feels at first weightless, unfamiliar, powerful. You breathe, and the air feels clearer. You stand, and your steps feel surer. The rhythm of heaven beats within you again. You are no longer waiting for life to happen, you are walking in divine momentum. The spirit of delay is gone, and what remains is purpose unchained. You are not behind. You are right on time, aligned perfectly with the steps heaven designed for you before you ever took your first breath. The angels move as though carried by thought rather than motion, gliding in silence. Their forms shimmer like molten glass in moonlight. One holds a scroll close to his chest. Your name glows faintly across it. You can sense that this is not just a record, it is a command. A blueprint written before time, waiting only for your readiness. You feel the weight of it before a word is spoken. The air hums around the scroll as if all creation knows that something sacred is about to unfold. The angel opens it slowly, and waves of golden light ripple outward. You can see words, not in ink, but in living flame. They pulse and breathe. These are not suggestions, they are assignments. The angel speaks, and his voice feels like wind woven with thunder. This is the next phase. He says, you have passed the proving ground. Now you will build. A trembling runs through your hands. You want to ask what to build, how, where. But before you speak, the answer forms within you, obedience first. Details later. Heaven never hands blueprints to the unready. It hands trust to the obedient. You remember every time you moved without understanding and later saw purpose unfold. The same pattern returns now, but larger, deeper, irreversible. As the light from the scroll touches your spirit, images flash before you, faces you have yet to meet, places you have not yet gone, words you will one day speak that will shift the atmosphere around them. You feel awe, but not fear. Heaven's assignments carry weight, but they also carry grace. The angel says, this scroll holds three things: direction, endurance, and divine partnership. You will need all three. His words are clear, measured, full of intent. Direction will come not as thunder, but as whisper. Endurance will come not from your strength, but from faith. Partnership will come when you recognize those marked like you. You nod without realizing it, because your heart already understands. You think back to moments when you walked alone, when help seemed far away. Those seasons were not abandonment, they were training for discernment. Now, heaven promises alignment, the right people, at the right time, for the right purpose. The angel unrolls another section of the scroll, and more light fills the space. Inside it, you see a symbol, an ancient lamp burning in darkness. But the oil never runs out. This, he explains, is the mark of those who build under heaven's order. You will not build for recognition, but for remembrance. You realize then that true legacy is never about your name being known. It's about God's name being remembered through your obedience. The ancient psalmist wrote in Psalm, chapter 27, verse 1, "The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life, of whom shall I be afraid?" Those words seem to wrap around you like armor. Fear, the quiet intruder that has followed you for years, begins to retreat. You can almost feel courage rising from the inside. Not loud, but certain. You understand that every builder must first conquer fear before building anything eternal. The angel closes the scroll now and places it into your hands. Its warmth is steady, almost like a heartbeat. You feel its pulse merge with yours until the two become one. Carry this not as a task, he says softly, but as a trust. Heaven does not give to finishers what it has not first tested in faith. A silence follows, sacred and full. You look at the angels, realizing they are not just messengers, they are witnesses. They came not only to deliver the scroll, but to confirm that heaven's choice was right. As they begin to fade again, their wings leave trails of light that linger in the air, like gentle brushstrokes across eternity. The last thing you hear before the light dissolves is a whisper, "Do not rush. Build slow. Build strong. Build with truth." The room grows still once more, but your heart beats louder. The scroll now lives within you, its light unextinguished. You realize that heaven has never been in a hurry, because the eternal never fears delay. Every divine builder knows that time is just another tool in God's hand. You stand there for a long while, eyes open but mind silent, aware that something vast has begun. The silence around you feels alive, as if creation itself waits for your first obedient step. You look at your hands, still tingling with the warmth of the scroll, and realize that creation itself has recognized your yes. The invisible now leans toward you, waiting to respond. What once felt like uncertainty has turned into a holy invitation to act. The night seems to breathe in rhythm with your resolve. Every heartbeat feels like a hammer striking purpose into form. Heaven has written, now earth must echo. You understand obedience is the bridge between vision and reality. And the building begins with your next breath. You stand in the quiet aftermath of revelation, the scroll's light still glowing faintly inside your spirit. The room feels different, full but weightless. For the first time, you are not wondering what's next. You simply know that something has begun. Yet, even as peace settles in, a trembling awareness rises. purpose has a pulse, and it's beating faster. The angel's departure hasn't left emptiness, it's left expectancy, the kind that comes before a storm of glory. You understand now that obedience has drawn heaven's attention, and when heaven watches, earth begins to shift. You have felt the seal, received the scroll, but now heaven waits for your response. A soft sound ripples through the air, the sound of something unseen aligning. You realize this is your turning point, not just in life, but in identity. You are no longer a follower of faith, you are a carrier of it. The angel's message was never about what you would receive, but what you would release. Scripture reminds us in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 8, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair." Those words rise like fire inside you. You've been pressed, but not broken, misunderstood, but not forgotten. You now see that the pressure was not punishment, it was prophecy. Every trial carved a new chamber in your heart, making more room for light to live. You breathe deeply and sense God's presence filling the space. It's not a visitation anymore, it's habitation. The light no longer comes and goes, it stays. You realize that you've become what you were waiting for. The same presence that once surrounded you now moves through you. Heaven doesn't just touch you, it flows in you. Then the whisper comes again, that familiar voice you've learned to trust. Now speak. It says, respond with your spirit. You don't know what words to offer, but your heart knows. The only fitting response is surrender. So you whisper aloud, soft but certain, "I stand firm." That phrase vibrates through your spirit like thunder wrapped in peace. I stand firm. It is more than a statement, it is a stance. It declares that though the winds may come, your roots run deeper than fear. It means that faith is not about running ahead, but about standing unshaken when others fall away. Now, take this moment and comment, "I stand firm." It isn't just participation, it's prophecy. When you write it, you mark your position in the spiritual realm. You are declaring that no voice of doubt, no delay, and no disappointment will move you from what God has spoken. The angels may have stepped back, but heaven has leaned in closer. Every word you speak from this moment carries creative power. The walls that once silenced you now amplify your voice. What once resisted your prayers now becomes the very soil from which they bloom. The whisper continues, your stability is your weapon. You realize then that stillness can be mightier than movement. Heaven moves when the chosen hold their ground. Your endurance becomes testimony. Your peace becomes warfare. You look around and sense invisible witnesses, angels, saints, unseen forces of light watching as you take this step, not to judge, but to rejoice. Your faith has become sound, and heaven dances to its rhythm, and as that awareness fills you, something powerful happens. The room brightens not from lamps or sunlight, but from within you. Light radiates through your being, like dawn breaking inside the soul. The ground beneath your feet feels alive, ready to carry you into the next assignment. You whisper the words again, slower this time. I stand firm. They taste different now, like strength, like courage, like awakening. They don't deny your pain, they prove your endurance. Somewhere beyond what eyes can see, heaven records your words, etching them beside your name in the book of remembrance. The angels who once sealed you Now smile in silent affirmation. Their mission continues through you. You stand taller, not in pride, but in awareness. You realize that to stand firm is not to resist motion, but to anchor light. This is your divine response, not striving, not trembling, just unshakable peace. And in that stillness, you feel it, the future opening like a gate before you. When you write, "I stand firm," you are not merely typing words, you are building an altar of faith. Those 3 words echo through unseen realms, announcing that your heart no longer bows to fear, that your mind no longer yields to confusion. You are claiming your divine position. Each letter becomes a stone of remembrance, laid upon the foundation of your endurance. Heaven reads it as covenant language, a declaration that your stability is rooted in grace, not circumstance. It tells creation, "I will not be moved." So, write it with conviction, "I stand firm." Let it rise from your spirit like incense before the throne. That simple act of faith becomes your anthem of victory, your unshakable signature in the story heaven is writing. The air feels lighter now, carrying the fragrance of something new, like rain after a long drought. You can sense it, the heaviness that once clung to your steps has dissolved. The angels have withdrawn again, but their absence doesn't feel like loss. It feels like graduation. Heaven no longer needs to hover over you because its presence has rooted within you. You look around, and everything seems alive with quiet purpose. The walls seem to breathe. The air seems to hum. Even your shadow looks different, no longer heavy, but luminous. You've become the evidence that heaven's light can live inside human flesh. The voice you now recognize as divine speaks softly, "The light I placed in you must travel." You understand instantly. What God gives is never meant to stay contained. The fire He entrusts to one heart is meant to ignite many. Every word, every act of kindness, every gesture of faith becomes a spark that can start 1,000 unseen flames. It was written by the Apostle Paul in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." You pause and breathe that truth in. The real battle was never with people or circumstances. It was always with darkness trying to silence light. And now that you understand this, you see your mission clearly. You are to carry the flame forward, not through argument or force, but through love, through compassion, through creation. Light doesn't compete with darkness, it transforms it. And transformation spreads through connection. This is why what happens next matters. The world needs your voice. But voices travel on bridges built by shared moments. When you like, you echo light. When you share, you extend it. When you subscribe, you choose to stay near the flame that feeds your own. These aren't digital acts, they are spiritual echoes. Think of it like a lantern chain in the night. Every person who joins adds one more circle of glow. Somewhere out there, a soul sits in quiet ache, waiting for proof that hope still breathes. Your single act of sharing might be the spark that reaches them. And if your heart feels stirred to do more, to pour oil into this ongoing flame, then do it softly, joyfully. Donating is not paying, it's participating. It's placing a log upon the fire so it burns through another cold night. Imagine a field at dusk. A single candle stands in the grass, trembling against the wind. Then another joins it. Then another. Soon, the darkness is no longer strong enough to swallow the glow. That is what your giving does. It multiplies warmth, not wealth. But know this, deeply it must come from love, not obligation. True giving is not requested, it is recognized. If this message has touched your soul, if it has reminded you of light you once lost, then your heart already knows what to do. Give if you wish. Share if you can. Stay if you're led. Heaven reads intention louder than action. And if today you can give nothing but presence, let that be your offering. Attention is a form of devotion. Time is a currency. Heaven honors. Even listening, even lingering in truth, adds light to the world's atmosphere. The angels once told you that purpose must be lived, not learned. This, right now, is how it begins. Not through grand gestures, but through quiet, consistent flickers of faith. Every like becomes a footprint of light. Every share becomes a trail of hope. Every donation becomes a silent bridge, carrying grace to someone unseen. You realize now that generosity isn't measured by amount, but by alignment. It's not about how much you give, it's about how much of you lives in what you give. You look out the window, and the night seems softer again, somewhere, far beyond your sight. Another person is awakening, maybe at this exact moment, to the same whisper that once found you. Carry the light. You understand. You smile. You are part of the chain now, flame to flame, heart to heart, story to story. And as you sit in that awareness, peace settles around you again. You realize that heaven's plan was never to make you perfect, it was to make you radiant. And radiance always gives. So, let this be the moment where gratitude turns into action. Not forced, not pressured, just free. Like to keep the flame close. Share to let it travel farther. Subscribe to walk beside it. Give if your heart calls you. Every gesture, no matter how small, becomes light released. You close your eyes and whisper, "Let my light reach." And heaven, listening, smiles. The wind outside brushes past your window like a quiet amen, carrying your whispered prayer into unseen distances. Somewhere, another light awakens because yours refused to fade. You breathe deeply, feeling heaven's peace resting over you. The flame within no longer flickers, it steadies, eternal, alive, waiting for its next assignment. The dawn comes quietly. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare or thunder, it simply arrives, painting everything in soft gold. You open your eyes and realize the light inside you and the light around you are no longer separate, they have become one. It is strange and beautiful, this unity of spirit and sky. You can feel heaven breathing through the morning. You step outside. The world seems unchanged. Yet you see differently now. The same trees, the same ground, the same air, but all of it glows with quiet meaning. The angel's absence does not feel like distance anymore. It feels like trust. Heaven no longer stands beside you because it has chosen to live within you. There is a stillness around you that is alive with movement. It's the kind of stillness that carries intention, like a river waiting for the signal to flow. You realize that heaven has given you something more than instruction. It has given you authority. Not the kind that commands others, but the kind that commands peace. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 5. reveals, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. You whisper those words to yourself, and they don't just sound true, they feel true. The darkness that once surrounded your spirit, the doubt that once pressed against your chest, has lost its strength. You understand now that darkness was never the opposite of light. It was the backdrop against which light proves itself. You walk forward slowly, each step guided by awareness. Every breath becomes worship. Every heartbeat feels like conversation with the divine. You are learning what it means to carry light without losing humility, to walk in glory without forgetting grace. A gentle memory stirs within you how you used to plead for signs, for confirmations, for proof that you were not alone. Now you smile at that version of yourself. The signs were never withheld. They were simply hidden in faith. God doesn't prove his presence to the impatient. He reveals it to the faithful. The air shifts as you move deeper into the day. The sounds of life begin to rise, birds calling, leaves rustling, distant laughter. None of it distracts you. It all harmonizes with the quiet inside you. For the first time, you understand what peace that passes understanding actually feels like. It's not silence, it's synchronization. You reach a small clearing where sunlight filters through branches like liquid gold. The place feels familiar, though you've never been here before. Then you understand this is not a location, it's recognition. Heaven is reminding you that everything you need is already within reach. You sit down and let your hands rest upon your knees. You remember the angel's words, "Your light will alter atmospheres." At the time, it sounded poetic. Now, it feels literal. You sense it, how your peace influences the air, how gratitude shifts gravity, how love rewrites the tone of every space you enter. This realization humbles you. You are not powerful because of yourself. You are powerful because you've learned to stay open. The true strength of a vessel is not in its material, but in its willingness to be filled. A soft breeze passes, carrying the scent of earth after rain. You look up and whisper, "Thank you." The words feel small, but heaven hears them as symphony. Gratitude has always been heaven's favorite language. It is the bridge between presence and power. You think about others who are still in their dark seasons, waiting for light to find them. You feel compassion rise. Not pity, but recognition. You know now that your assignment is not to shine alone, but to remind others that their light still lives beneath the ashes. The world needs more quiet flames, steady hearts that refuse to go out. And maybe that's what your journey was always about, learning how to burn without consuming, how to glow without striving, how to illuminate without boasting. You close your eyes, and a vision unfolds, the two angels standing again. But this time, their wings form a circle of light around countless souls, each one carrying a spark, each one rising. You realize they are not separate flames, they are pieces of the same fire. The light that began in heaven is multiplying across the earth through those who dare to remain faithful. The vision fades, but its truth stays. You open your eyes and notice that even your shadow seems brighter. It no longer looks like absence, it looks like reflection. The light within you has transformed everything it touches, even darkness itself. You smile quietly, understanding that this is what the angels meant when they said, "Walk in it." You are not waiting for a move of God. You have become one. The light shines, and nothing, not loss, not fear, not time can overcome it. The morning air embraces you like a gentle promise. Every heartbeat hums with divine rhythm. You walk forward, not searching anymore, only shining, carrying heaven's quiet flame into the waiting world. The light has settled into rhythm, now steady, pulsing, alive. You are no longer learning how to carry it. You are it. Every breath feels like agreement with heaven. Every thought seems sharper, calmer, rooted in peace that cannot be explained. You have crossed from surviving into reigning. And though the world around you looks the same, the realm within you is unrecognizable. It is here, in this stillness, that another moment unfolds. You sense the air shimmer again, and a familiar warmth wraps around you. The two angels return not as before, blazing with power, but softer now, their presence glowing like dawn after a long night. Their wings fold gently as they draw near, carrying something unseen but heavy with meaning. The first angel speaks. What was sealed has now been completed, but completion in heaven is the beginning of rebirth on earth. His words fall like dew, soaking deep into your understanding. You realize that when heaven closes one chapter, it doesn't end your purpose, it expands it. The second angel extends a hand, and from it emerges a swirl of light that hums with divine rhythm. You can feel creation breathing through it, old cycles ending, new ones awakening. This, the angel says, is your renewal. Heaven calls it rebirth. The sacred text proclaims in Revelation, chapter 21, verse 5, "He who was seated on the throne said, 'Behold, I make all things new.'" You close your eyes, letting those words settle over you like gentle fire. Everything that once felt wasted suddenly feels redeemed. Every delay, every disappointment, every unanswered question was not destruction, it was preparation for transformation. You are not being rebuilt, you are being reborn. The angels circle slowly around you, and the air vibrates with sound, soft tones, like distant waters colliding with wind. It feels like creation itself singing over you. The old has served its purpose. The first angel whispers, "Now, the new will carry your name." You sense that this rebirth is not about changing who you are, it's about revealing what was hidden within you all along. The light inside your chest expands, filling every corner of your being. You are not reaching for heaven anymore, you are radiating it. In this moment, you understand what the long path of obedience was truly about. It wasn't to make you perfect, it was to make you pure. Purity isn't about flawlessness, it's about alignment. Heaven can only pour fully into a vessel that has been emptied of fear, pride, and doubt. You have been emptied and now you are full. The angels pause. Then together they lift their voices. And though no human words are spoken, your spirit translates their message clearly. Announce your rebirth. You feel the instructions settle within you, clear and commanding, yet tender. Heaven always invites before it commands. So you obey not as ritual, but as revelation. You are to declare the moment of your new beginning. Now take a breath, and when your heart feels ready, comment 888. This number carries heaven's signature for rebirth, resurrection, and new beginnings. It is not superstition, it is symbolism. It means what was dormant has awakened, what was lost has returned, and what was impossible has become inevitable. When you write 888, You're not aligning with chance, you're aligning with change. It's your way of saying, I have become new. Heaven will read it as a song, a sound of agreement rising from earth to sky. You look at the angels again. Their faces are calm, almost proud. They know that this act of obedience, simple, quiet, symbolic, is what seals the new season. The light within you swells once more, expanding beyond the walls of the room. It flows outward like ripples across still water, touching unseen places, unseen hearts. Somewhere, someone else will awaken because your light reached them. That's the mystery of divine rebirth. It multiplies. The angels fade once more, leaving behind trails of gold that linger like starlight on your skin. You stand still, hand over your heart, whispering a silent amen. The rebirth has begun, and this time it will not fade. When you comment 888, you are not typing a number, you are announcing resurrection. Those digits carry heaven's pattern of renewal, the rhythm of beginnings written before time. They tell creation that your story has turned a sacred page, that you no longer walk beneath endings, but under divine continuation. Each 8 curves like an eternal loop, representing what cannot be broken. Together, they form a trinity of newness: body, soul, and spirit restored in harmony. Writing 888 is you stepping into flow, agreeing with heaven's declaration that everything lost is returning multiplied, refined, and alive again. So, write it with intention, 888. Let it be the seal of your transformation. You are not repeating a symbol, you are echoing eternity. The angels record it. Heaven celebrates it. And the earth will soon witness the fruit of it. This is your rebirth written in light. The air shifts again, subtle, steady, like the low rumble of thunder before rain. You can feel it in your bones before your mind catches up. Something is watching, not to destroy, but to test. The angels warned you that light attracts attention, and now the truth of that begins to unfold. Darkness is not gone, it's simply been waiting for the next move. The sky outside darkens slightly, clouds gathering without storm. The wind bends the trees as if the world itself were preparing for confrontation. But you do not fear. The light within you remains constant, unmoved by the stirring shadows. You understand that this moment is not punishment, it's proof. Heaven is showing you that the light it placed inside you was not fragile. It was forged for conflict. You close your eyes, and the scene around you fades. What appears now is not the world outside, but the realm within. You see your past battles, the tears, the losses, the nights you felt surrounded. You see the pattern. Every attack preceded an expansion. Every conflict opened a new realm of authority. The struggle was never meant to stop you, it was meant to reveal you. Then, from that inner vision, you see movement. Darkness begins to take form, not as monsters or creatures, but as memories, voices of doubt, fears disguised as logic, old wounds pretending to be wisdom. They rise like smoke, trying to cloud your vision. You recognize them all. These are not new enemies, they are familiar whispers. As the shadows close in, the voice of remembrance echoes through your spirit. As the prophet Isaiah once cried in chapter 54, verse 17, "No weapon that is formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. You repeat it slowly, letting each word pierce the fog like an arrow. No weapon. The light inside you flares brighter. You speak it again, louder this time, until the smoke begins to dissolve. No weapon. The darkness shrinks back, trembling at the sound of truth. The phrase becomes your sword, and the atmosphere shifts. The battle isn't dramatic, it's intimate. It's not fought in thunder, but in thought. You are learning that spiritual warfare isn't about shouting, it's about standing. The enemy doesn't fear volume, it fears conviction. You remember what the angel said before leaving. When you stand, the heavens move. So you stand, not in defiance, but in certainty. You are not here to win the battle. The battle was already won. You are here to enforce victory. The ground beneath your feet steadies. The light surrounding you takes shape, forming a soft barrier that hums like a song sung by the unseen. You realize this glow isn't just protection, it's recognition. Heaven knows its own. You are surrounded not by fear, but by witnesses. The shadows retreat slowly. And as they do, you begin to feel something unexpected, compassion. You sense that even the darkness was once light, lost and longing for direction. The power of light isn't just to defeat darkness, it's to invite it back to truth. You speak softly into the air. Return to your Maker. And the strange thing is, it listens. The smoke dissolves, leaving behind only silence. Deep and holy. You exhale slowly. The air feels clear again. Lighter. Washed. What was meant to crush you has refined you. The clash of realms was never about destruction, it was about demonstration. You now understand heaven doesn't allow battles to punish the chosen, it allows them to announce them. A calm falls over the land. The clouds part, letting sunlight stream through like golden silk. You can feel warmth touch your face, the kind that feels alive. It's more than weather, it's witness. Creation responds when the chosen ones stand. You lift your hands slightly, not in pride, but in gratitude. You whisper, "The battle belongs to the Lord," and heaven answers, not with thunder, but with peace. The silence afterward feels sacred. You have seen what most never glimpse that warfare is not the absence of God, but the unveiling of His strength within you. You take a deep breath. The air rich and new. You can sense it, the world feels wider now. Like boundaries have expanded. Victory does that, it doesn't end a story, it enlarges it. You turn, ready to walk forward again. The light that once merely surrounded you now follows wherever you step. The darkness does not vanish completely, it simply knows its place. It can observe, but not invade. It can echo, but it cannot command. And as you walk, you realize that the greatest sign of triumph isn't the absence of shadows, it's the presence of peace while they linger. You whisper one last time, not as a plea, but as a proclamation, "No weapon." The words drift upward like incense, joining the eternal chorus of those who learned that light, once awakened, cannot be silenced. The horizon stretches wide before you. There's a quiet, steady brightness resting over the earth, as though heaven itself has taken a deep breath. You walk forward, and each step feels lighter, yet heavier with meaning. Something has shifted not only within you, but around you. The unseen world recognizes movement. You remember what the angel said before: alignment unlocks expansion. Now you begin to see it unfold. What once felt confined now stretches open like the sky after storm clouds part. The ground beneath your feet seems wider, stronger, alive with purpose. Every place your foot touches carries the residue of heaven's touch. You are walking into enlarged territory, not of land, but of influence, peace, and vision. The expansion isn't about owning more, it's about being more. The capacity of your spirit is growing. Heaven is enlarging the walls of your heart so that more light, more compassion, more wisdom can flow through. We find assurance in Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 6. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Those words unfold in your mind like water finding its course. You realize that divine expansion has nothing to do with striving, it's about surrender. To acknowledge him in all ways is to let his rhythm lead even your smallest step. You can feel it. God's direction doesn't push, it pulls. Gently but firmly, like gravity made of love. You think back to the moments when you tried to make things happen on your own, when effort felt holy but left you exhausted. Now, in this stillness, you understand heaven's growth never drains. It multiplies. The territories God gives never burden, they breathe. The angels have not returned in visible form, but their presence hovers at the edge of awareness. You can sense them moving unseen, tracing boundaries you didn't even know existed. You hear a whisper deep within, do not fear expansion, it's proof that you've been faithful with little. You pause to take in those words. They echo through your chest like a heartbeat. You realize that expansion requires trust, because growth often feels like unfamiliar ground. But heaven has not sent you into the unknown, it has sent you into inheritance. What you are walking into now was always written for you, waiting for your arrival. The path ahead is wide and clear, but not empty. You sense people, places, and opportunities positioned along the way, each one part of the next assignment. The same light that once guided your steps is now guiding the atmosphere around you, preparing hearts before you even reach them. You've become a carrier of divine order. Wherever you go, chaos will calm, storms will still, and hearts will recognize peace without needing explanation. You will not have to announce who you are. Heaven will do that for you. A soft wind brushes against your face, and it feels like a sign, gentle, reassuring, familiar. It carries whispers of unseen promises. You will not toil for what has already been written. You will simply arrive. You smile, not out of pride, but gratitude. You finally see that God's promises are not prizes for performance, they are places of partnership. Heaven is not asking for perfection, it's asking for presence, to show up, to listen, to obey, to trust. You think about the borders of your life, how small they once felt, how heavy they once seemed. But now, standing here in this holy expansion, you realize those borders were never boundaries, they were preparation lines. God was never withholding space. He was strengthening your steps to sustain it. The sound of the wind grows softer, almost melodic, like the song of a distant ocean. You understand that this new territory will not come without challenge. But you are no longer afraid of that word. Challenge now means confirmation. Resistance only appears where purpose is present. You look up, watching clouds drift lazily across the open sky. For a moment, Everything stops: the thoughts, the noise, even the world's rush. You stand in the middle of divine stillness, aware that heaven and earth have met here, where your obedience stands. The expansion is not just around you, it's within you. Your capacity for patience, compassion, and faith has widened. You can love deeper, listen longer, and believe bigger. The same heart that once broke under pressure now beats with purpose. You whisper quietly, "Direct my steps, and I will follow." The words carry peace, not plea. You know heaven heard before you spoke. You can sense the path beneath you glowing softly, step by step, revealing itself only as you move forward. The horizon calls again. This time, you don't hesitate. You step forward into the wide unknown, not to conquer it, but to fill it with light. Every movement feels guided, every breath like a promise kept. You are walking in rhythm with grace, expanding without effort, thriving without striving. You are no longer waiting for heaven to move. Heaven is moving through you. Evening descends like a warm blanket, soft and deliberate. The golden light melts into deeper tones, and everything seems to rest: trees, air, even your thoughts. You stand quietly, aware that this isn't an ending, it's inheritance. The journey that began in shadows now unfolds in legacy. You sense heaven's attention again, not in thunder or trumpet, but in tenderness. This time, there's no correction, no instruction, only confirmation. You have become what obedience builds: a living altar of faith. The ancient writings in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 35, remind us, "Do not throw away your confidence, it will be richly rewarded." Those words hum gently within you. Confidence, not arrogance, not striving, but quiet certainty has become your new language. You realize the greatest form of worship is consistency. Faith that endures without applause is faith that shapes eternity. You think of the countless moments heaven watched silently, the ones where no one clapped, no one noticed, but you kept showing up anyway. The quiet acts of grace, the unrecorded forgiveness, the small obediences that required everything. They were seeds. And now, the field of your life begins to bloom. Legacy doesn't always look like monuments. Sometimes it looks like light passed quietly from one heart to another. You understand that now. You are not meant to keep the flame, you are meant to scatter it. A breeze moves gently through the air, whispering through leaves as if carrying heaven's invitation: keep the light alive. You know what that means. The flame you carry is not yours to hoard. It's a borrowed brilliance meant to touch others before it returns home. You can almost hear the echo of wings somewhere unseen. The angels haven't left, they've only stepped aside, letting you stand as proof that faith can multiply. Every chosen one becomes a torch for another. The chain of light grows because someone chooses to pass it on. So now, in this quiet moment, you are given a choice, one not of duty, but of devotion. When you like this message, imagine it as lighting another lantern in the dark. When you share it, see it as handing a candle to someone whose night has grown long. When you comment, think of it as carving your name into the walls of remembrance, your way of saying, "I was here, and I believed." And if your heart feels stirred to go further, to pour oil into this flame so that it keeps reaching farther, do it softly, joyfully. Giving is not transaction, it's translation. It turns gratitude into motion. Every small gift becomes a breath that helps the fire last through another night. Imagine it like standing on a hill surrounded by others. You raise your candle, and in the wind, hundreds rise beside you. No one is forced, no one is told. They simply see light and want to join it. That's what this is. A voluntary glow. A community of warmth. So, if you feel that quiet nudge to support, to contribute, let it come from love, not obligation. Let it be your whisper to heaven, keep this light burning. Every gesture, whether it's a word, a click, a prayer, a donation, becomes another ember that travels farther than you'll ever see. Heaven never counts the size of the flame, only its sincerity. The smallest spark given in love holds the same value as the grandest fire. You stand still, breathing in this understanding. The field of stars above seems closer now, as if leaning down to listen. You realize that the same God who placed light in the sky placed it in you for the same reason, to guide others home. The night deepens, but you no longer fear it. You see now that darkness was never your enemy, it was your canvas. Every word you've spoken, every act of faith, every moment of kindness has been brushstrokes of divine color, painting redemption across the world. Legacy is not about being remembered, it's about leaving behind something worth remembering. And these words, these lights, these lives is your legacy in motion. So, as this message lingers in your spirit, let your response be natural, gentle, free, like if the flame warmed you. Share if you wish to see it reach another. Subscribe if your spirit wants to walk alongside the journey of light. Give only if gratitude stirs your hand. None of these are demands, they are echoes of devotion, because light, when freely given, never diminishes, it multiplies. You lift your gaze to the sky, where a single star flickers brighter than the rest. You smile, knowing that somewhere, someone else will soon see that same light, and remember that hope never dies, it only travels. The night hums softly, carrying the echo of your quiet. Yes, light moves unseen, threading through hearts, leaving warmth where there once was waiting. You breathe out slowly. Peace lingers like perfume. The stars above blink in rhythm with gratitude. As heaven whispers, the flame will never fade. The night deepens into a velvet calm. Stars stretch across the heavens like scattered embers, each one pulsing with stories older than memory. You walk slowly beneath them, your steps quiet but certain. You are no longer waiting for guidance, you are walking with it. The air feels charged, yet peaceful, a balance that only heaven can compose. You know what this moment is. The angels called it the final test of trust. Not a test of endurance, but of surrender. It is the question heaven asks every chosen one before full release. Can you still obey when there is no visible proof? You breathe in deeply. The question doesn't frighten you anymore. In fact, it feels familiar, like the echo of an earlier season when faith was all you had to hold. You realize that the test was never meant to expose weakness, it was meant to reveal strength. All around you, creation seems to listen. The leaves sway softly, the air hums low, and somewhere far away, a river whispers. The whole world seems to wait for your response. And you know this isn't about grand gestures or perfect answers. It's about stillness. Heaven doesn't demand movement. It recognizes meaning. Heaven speaks clearly through Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear, nor be afraid of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. The words settle into your chest like warm light. You feel them fuse with every heartbeat, steadying your thoughts. Courage doesn't roar, it breathes. Strength doesn't shout, it stands. The command isn't to conquer, but to trust. You look around. Nothing has changed. Yet everything feels different. The same stars, the same sky, the same earth, but you perceive the invisible hand holding it all together. That is faith's final form, to see order where others see chaos, to sense direction in silence. You think about the journey that brought you here, the doubts, the waiting, the victories, the revelations. Each moment was a thread woven into something greater. Now you understand, the design trust is not an act, it's a lifestyle. When faith matures, it becomes peace. The air grows colder, and the horizon darkens. But not with threat, with mystery. You've learned that the unknown isn't an enemy, it's a canvas. Every time you walk into uncertainty, you're stepping into another unfinished masterpiece of God. The angels had told you this test would come quietly. It would not arrive as crisis, but as question. The question has now been asked: will you trust without visible signs? You close your eyes and answer not with words, but with posture. You lift your face toward heaven and simply breathe. Yes, the word feels weightless yet full, like a seed containing forests. Something moves within you, a peace that defies logic, a fire that needs no fuel. You understand that trust doesn't mean ignorance, it means intimacy. It is knowing that you may not see the next step, but believing that the ground will appear when you move. You stand in the quiet, and your silence becomes worship. Every fear that once demanded explanation now fades. You don't need to know what happens next. The need to control has surrendered to the desire to commune. You sense a shift around you, a gentle radiance forming, familiar yet new. The angels have returned, though they do not speak. Their wings shimmer faintly in the moonlight, carrying reverence instead of urgency. They watch, not to test you, but to witness your trust. One of them nods softly, as if to say, "This is it." The moment heaven was waiting for. You understand the test was never about proving to God that you trust Him. It was about proving to yourself that you always did. You feel a warmth spreading from your chest outward, touching every cell, every thought. It's as though heaven has filled you completely. You are not waiting for approval, you are living from it. The final test was never to earn anything, it was to reveal everything you've become. You open your eyes. The world looks softer, calmer. The stars seem closer, their light steadier. You take a step forward, and the ground feels alive beneath your feet. You no longer walk toward faith, you walk with it. The angels fade slowly, leaving trails of light that dissolve into the night sky. Their departure doesn't sadden you. It feels right. You no longer need to see them to believe they are near. Faith no longer requires sight. It breathes certainty. You whisper quietly into the dark, "I trust you." The words float upward, merging with the wind, carrying the fragrance of peace. You know heaven hears not because of volume, but because of sincerity. And as silence wraps around you again, you realize that trust was never the bridge to the promise, it was the promise. To trust fully is to already live in victory. You smile softly. The test has ended. The trust remains. The dawn comes quietly. As it always does, no noise, no hurry, no command. It simply unveils what darkness had hidden. You open your eyes to the soft glow spreading across the horizon. The air smells of rain, though no drops have fallen yet. And every sound carries gentleness, like the world itself is exhaling peace. You stand and stretch your hands toward the sky. The light that once felt distant now feels familiar, almost like it knows your name. It touches your face not as an outsider, but as a friend. You realize, with deep calm, that this is what it means to walk in covenant. You and heaven are no longer separate. You have become a reflection of its rhythm, a vessel of its will, the voice within the one that guided you through silence, fire, waiting, and wonder returns once more. But this time it doesn't instruct. It reminds. You are no longer becoming. It says, you are. And, for the first time, those words do not startle you. They rest easily upon your heart, like water finding its level. Everything in you, every moment of struggle and surrender, has been leading here to the quiet confidence of identity. You are not simply chosen, you are confirmed. The light around you swells, golden and steady. It doesn't blind, it blesses. You feel it pulse gently through your skin, your bones, your spirit. The glow that once came from above now radiates from within. You've become what the angels called a living flame. The words of Christ himself in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 28, verse 20. Declare, and surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age. The sentence blooms inside you like sunrise breaking through memory. Always, not sometimes, not when you're strong, not when you feel holy, always. You understand that his presence was never conditional, it was continual. You were never waiting for God to draw near. You were learning to see that he never left. You sit in the grass, feeling the ground breathe beneath you. The world is quiet, but not empty. There's a fullness here, a sacred weight that hums with purpose. You realize that heaven's final lesson isn't about battle or blessing, it's about being. The angels had told you that the greatest evidence of faith is rest. And now you understand why. Rest isn't idleness, it's assurance. It's knowing that your existence itself glorifies God. You don't have to fight for approval or chase divine attention. You carry it. You are the proof that grace works. The wind rises softly, brushing against your shoulders like a friend's touch. You hear laughter somewhere in the distance, not loud, just honest. It feels like heaven is smiling through creation, delighting in what it has formed. You close your eyes and remember everything, the beginning, the call, the tests, the silences, the fire, the seal, the scroll, the rebirth. Each piece fits perfectly now, forming a pattern too vast for the mind, but too familiar for the spirit to doubt. Nothing was wasted. Not a tear. Not a prayer. Not a moment. You whisper, "Thank you." And the words don't just leave your lips, they seem to join the very air around you. Gratitude has become your language, not because life is easy, but because grace is real. The sky brightens further. The sun rises fully now, scattering colors like heaven painting its joy across the earth. You realize that every dawn is both a continuation and a new creation, proof that light always finds a way. You breathe deeply and stand once more. The light doesn't stay behind you. It follows you, wraps you, leads you forward. There are no angels visible now, no voices from the heavens, no signs or wonders, just peace. And you understand that peace itself is the wonder. You start walking, not because you need to reach somewhere, but because movement feels like worship. Every step becomes an offering, every heartbeat a hymn. You are no longer seeking purpose, you are living it. The journey isn't over, it's eternal. Heaven's work doesn't end at revelation, it continues through realization. You are now both messenger and message, flame and reflection, vessel and voice. You lift your gaze toward the brightening sky. For a moment, you think you see a flicker, a glimmer of wings dissolving into the sunlight, but you don't chase it. You smile, knowing the angels were never meant to stay visible. They were meant to make you luminous. You whisper the final truth your heart has learned. It was never about arrival, it was always about awakening. The wind carries your words upward, folding them into heaven's endless chorus. And as the morning spreads its full warmth, you feel it, God's steady presence, closer than breath, constant as light, the promise fulfilled, the journey complete, the covenant alive. You walk on, not out of duty, but out of delight. Heaven walks with you always. And now, as the light fades softly into stillness, this journey rests in your hands. What began as a whisper from heaven has found a home in your heart. You've walked through silence, through fire, through awakening, and still the flame burns steady. That flame is not mine, it is yours. It belongs to everyone who dares to believe that light still wins. If these words have touched something deep within you, let your response be your own offering. When you like this message, imagine it as a spark joining countless others, small lights building a fire no darkness can contain. When you share it, see it as passing a torch across unseen distances, so another weary heart might remember warmth. And if you feel called to stay close to this voice, this space of stillness, subscribe as an act of alignment, not habit. Let it be a choice to remain near the flow of words that remind you who you are and whose you are. And if gratitude stirs deeper, if generosity feels like breath, give, not as payment, not as obligation, but as partnership. Your giving is oil for the lamp, fuel for the flame, love made visible. It becomes part of the light that keeps traveling long after these words end. Every gesture, every response, every quiet yes you offer ripples through eternity. Heaven never measures the size of your gift, only the sincerity behind it. So, if this moment has found you, stay with it a little longer. Breathe. Let gratitude settle in. Let your heart decide how to respond, not because you must, but because beauty deserves to continue. And when you act when you like, when you share, when you support, know this: you are not giving to me. You are giving to the light itself.